Students, you are welcome in this period of Science and Technology Part 2, in which today we are going to study the chapter number 6. The name of chapter is Animal Classification. So, in the present chapter, we are going to study about the history of animal classification, then the new method or the system of animal classification, and the kingdom Animalia. So, before proceeding further, I would like to ask one question to you. Which criteria are used for classification of organisms? So, already in the previous standard, you have studied the classification of living organisms, and the living organisms present around us are mainly plants and animals. So, we have studied the criteria of classification, and with the help of that, we are going to complete the following chart. So, here there is a chart in front of you. You can see there are some vacant places or the blank places there. So, we have to fill in the blanks. So, as you know that the entire living world or all the living organisms, they are classified on the basis of the cell type. So, on the basis of if the cell it is having the prokaryotic type of cell, that it means it do not possess distinct nucleus and the cell organelles, then the kingdom Monera is formed. And if the cell type is the eukaryotic cell, then again the organisms they are classified into two different types, say the unicellular organism and the multicellular organism. Unicellular organisms are the organisms which are made up of a single cell only, whereas the multicellular organisms they are made up of multiple cells. So, if the organisms they are unicellular, they are included in the kingdom Protista, whereas the multicellular organisms they are again classified into two types on the basis of whether they have the cell with cell wall or not. So, if the organisms are with cell wall, they are again classified into two different types, say the autotrophs and the heterotrophs. So, the autotrophs are included in the kingdom Plantae and the heterotrophs in the kingdom Fungi, whereas when the multicellular organisms they are having a cell without cell wall, then they are included in the kingdom Animalia. So, this was the classification of living organisms which we studied in the 9th standard. So, students, we have studied the plant classification and it helped us to understand the diversities of plant around us. But remember, you must be looking varieties of animals around you, and some animals they are too small, whereas some are too big also. So some animals they are terrestrial, whereas some are the aquatic one. Terrestrial means they live on the land, whereas aquatic means they live in water. So some animals they crawl in on land, whereas some swim in the water, some fly in air. Some animals they have the scales on the skin, whereas some have the feathers or the hairs also. So in this way we can conclude that there is a large diversity among the animals also, and according to the recent study, the estimated number of animal species on the earth is approximately 7 million. So it is impossible to study each and every species of the animal. Therefore, if they are put in the groups and the subgroups and they are formed depending upon some similarities and the differences, it will make very easy to study such vast variety of the animals. Therefore, we classify the animals into different groups. So, formation of groups and subgroups of animals depending upon similarities and the differences among animal is called as animal classification. This is the definition of animal classification. I am going to repeat: formation of groups and subgroups of animals depending upon similarities and differences among animals is called as animal classification. Now we are going to study the history of animal classification. Remember, time to time different scientists they have tried to classify the animals. So the Greek philosopher Aristotle was the first to perform the animal classification. Aristotle classified the animals according to the criteria like the body size, then the habits and the habitats. Further, as per the new developments in the sciences, the references were changed and thereby the criteria of animal classification also got changed. So the classification which was proposed by Aristotle is known as the artificial method. And beside Aristotle, artificial of classification was followed by Theocritus, then the Pliny, then the John Ray, then the Linnaeus, etc. And later on, the natural system for the classification it was followed. So natural system of classification was based on the various criteria like the body organization, types of cells, chromosomes, biochemical properties, etc. By the time the system of classification based on evolution was also brought into the practice and it was used by the Dobezansky and the Mayer. So recently the Carl Woese has also proposed the animal classification. So in this way, this was the history of animal classification. So you must be thinking about what are the benefits of animal classification. Why one has to do the animal classification? So remember there are some important points regarding this which are very necessary to take in the consideration. That the first point is the study of animal, it becomes very convenient due to the classification. Second important thing, the study of few animals from a group, it helps us to understand about that entire animal group and it gives idea about the animal evolution also. Similarly, the animals can be easily identified with great accuracy and it helps us to understand the relation of animals with other living organisms. When we classify the animals, it helps us to understand the habitat of each animal and its exact role in the nature. Similarly, it helps us to understand various adaptations shown by that animal. So in this manner, those are the benefits of animal classification. Now you must have recognized that how much importance is there of animal classification. Now we are going to study the traditional method of animal classification. Remember, traditionally depending upon presence or absence of notochord, the animal kingdom has been divided into two different groups, say the non-chordates and the chordates. So remember, when we classify all the living animals on the basis of this, there are some important points which must be taken in the consideration before classify them into the non-chordates and chordates. So what are the non-chordates? Remember, there are some characters of non-chordate which can be given as follows. The first is the body of non-chordate is not supported by a rod like notochord. Then the second important thing, the pharyngeal gill slits are absent in the non-chordates. Then the third important thing, the nerve cord, generally it is absent, but if it is present, it is on the ventral side and it is solid and paired one. And the heart, if it is present, it is on the dorsal side. So those are some important characteristics of the non-chordates. Remember, the non-chordates, they are classified into 10 different phyla. We are going to see those phyla also. So remember, the non-chordates, they are divided into those phyla. The first phyla is the protozoa, second is the porifera, third is the coelenterata, which is also called as Cnidaria. Then the fourth is Platyhelminthes. Then the next is Achelhelminthes. Then the next is Annelida. Then Arthropoda. Then Mollusca. Then Echinodermata and the Hemichordata. So those are 10 different phyla in which the non-chordates are divided. Now we are going to study about the chordates. Remember, there are some important characteristics of chordates which are as follows. The first is the body is supported by the notochord. The body of chordates, it is the having support of a notochord. Then the second, it is the pharyngeal gill slits, they or the lungs are present for the respiration purpose. And the third important point is nerve cord is present on the dorsal side of the body and it is hollow. Then the next point is heart is present on the ventral side only. So remember, those were some important characteristics of the chordates. You can see the characteristics of chordates, that they are having the tail fin, then the muscles, then the anus, then the notochord, nerve cord, gill slits and mouth, like those organs. So you must be thinking, what is notochord? Remember, the notochord is a long rod-like supporting structure present on the dorsal side of animal body, and it keeps the nerve tissue isolated from the remaining body. So this is called as notochord. So here notochord is present in the chordates. So now we will take a quick view of a entire classification of animals using a conventional system. So the kingdom Animalia, it is divided into two subkingdoms, say the non-chordates and the chordates. Then the subkingdom non-chordate, it is divided into 10 different phyla. The first phylum is the Protozoa, second is the Porifera, third is the Cnidaria, fourth is the Platyhelminthes, fifth is the Aschelminthes, then the sixth is the Annelida, seventh is the Arthropoda, eighth is the Mollusca, ninth is the Echinodermata, and 10th is the Hemichordata. Similarly, the subkingdom chordates, it is divided into the phylum Chordata and phylum Chordata into three different subphylums. So the first subphylum is the Urochordata, second is the Cephalochordata, and third is the Vertebrata. Remember, the Vertebrata, this subphylum is again divided into the 6 different classes. So the first class is the Cyclostomata, second is the Pisces, third is the Amphibia, fourth is the Reptilia, fifth is the Aves, and sixth is the Mammalia. So in the remaining part of the chapter, we are going to study all those phylums, subphylums and the classes.